Welcome back to another episode of the Roofing Operating System Podcast. We got a great guest in the house today, something that I'm very curious about, very excited to talk about. We have Rachael with IBHS here. And Rachael, you got a pretty incredible um, line of experience here, right? I mean, I know that you're in the weather field, right? So you've been a meteorologist, a science content producer. I mean, and now fortified roofing systems. What was kind of like your story, I guess? Did you kind of start in the weather game and that kind of brought you into the roofing space, or what's kind of your career look like?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me on. And yeah, I have a background in meteorology. Went to school for meteorology and geoscience. Always was interested in weather. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama, so lots of hurricanes, tropical systems, plenty of tornadoes as well, and then every now and then a winter storm. So I was actually a senior meteorology student at the University of South Alabama just a few days before I graduated. The big super outbreak of April 2011 happened in my home state in Alabama.
Wow.
So got to watch that play out live on air, and that was one of the things that really had me interested in becoming a broadcast meteorologist. So that's what I did for the first 12 years of my career. Communicating weather information on air to people. So I worked in a few places, a couple of places in Louisiana. I moved to Alaska as well because I just was really
Oh wow.
interested in talking about winter weather for a while, and then I worked in Ohio as well. So yeah, 12 years as a meteorologist in the broadcast industry and a reporter as well, doing a lot of science stories. And then I found my way to IBHS about a year and a half ago, and here I work with the researchers to help communicate the research that they're doing to the public, as well as members of the U.S. property and casualty insurance industry. So we do a lot of cool experiments here at IBHS on wind-driven rain, hail, and wildfire. And we're doing a lot of work on
Wow.
material science as well, kind of trying to figure out those materials that homeowners and business owners can implement on their own homes to strengthen their homes against those different perils.
Hmm.
So I help communicate that in the form of presentations and videos and podcasts and all sorts of media.
Amazing. Very cool. So Rachel, were you like one of those like crazy little girls like chasing tornadoes in Alabama or what? Like were you just a freak about weather, just curious about it, or what was that like?
Yeah, well, I'm a 90s kid, so Twister, circa 1996 or so, got me super interested in weather. I was fascinated with that. And then, I don't know, I was just always really drawn to science and natural disasters, like not just weather, but volcanoes and earthquakes and, geology and all that. So, yeah, I got to experience a lot of weather growing up. Like I said, in Mobile, we had, a wide range of weather. So, yeah, just thought it was really cool, was always interested in how the atmosphere works. So, didn't chase any tornadoes until I got to graduate school, but I did get the chance to see the El Reno, Oklahoma tornado very up close and in person. So that was an interesting experience as well. And yeah, I've had the opportunity to do some storm chasing for our scientific research projects here at IBHS. This summer, I had the chance to go on Ice Chip, which was a research project that was all about hail, and that was all over the Great
Hmm,
Plains. So yeah, gotten to do some fun stuff as well.
that's interesting. I mean, I kind of wanted to start it out too, just asking, I'm guessing you look at different weather patterns and everything like that, right? And of course, we're in the world of roofing. We do a lot of restoration work, so you're looking at hail, wind, hurricanes. I mean, over the last few years or maybe decade, like what does that look like in terms of number, severity throughout the country?
Yeah, well, we've seen a number of billion-dollar disasters, and we've seen those increasing. Every year after year, we've seen more and more of these big ticket disasters. But it's actually severe thunderstorms. I guess our insurance industry term that we use here at IBHS to describe that is called severe convective storms, or SCS.
You
So that
see,
would encompass wind from severe thunderstorms, things like tornadoes, derechos, and then hail as well. So SCS as a whole is actually the most damaging or the costliest type of weather disaster in the entire country. SCS does more damage than all the other types of weather hazards combined. Billions and billions of dollars in damage every year. We had record years in 2023. 2024 was really high as well. We're talking like 50 plus $billion in insured losses just due to severe convective storms. So that's a big part of why we're
wow.
researching that here at IBHS.
That's wild. Now, when you look at hail, so I'm out in Colorado, so this is one of the hail capitals out here, right? And it felt like when I first moved here 10 years ago, it was like every year, and then all of a sudden there's a dry stretch or a dry spell, and everyone was wondering when's the hail coming, and then we got a little bit, right? I mean, is there any way to kind of I know you can't predict, but kind of forecast or kind of predict what a year would look like with hail in certain locations or anything like that?
Yeah, we know there are hail hotspots out there. You're right, Colorado, the Front Range of the Rockies is one of those big hail hotspots. The Great Plains is a big hail hotspot as well, parts of the Midwest. So we kind of, we have a lot of maps that we can kind of look at and see that picture for hail where there's kind of different bullseyes around the country. And, one of the reasons why we're seeing the amount of insured losses going so high is because we have more people living in these areas as well, right? Like we've seen so many people
Mm-hmm.
move out to places like Dallas, Texas, and Colorado Springs, places that are just hail prone areas. We're seeing a lot more people and a lot more homes, and we call it the bullseye effect, right? So there's more in the path of these storms to really drive up those losses. So that's another big thing that's kind of feeding into those losses. Then as far as like tornadoes go, we still see plenty of activity across the traditional tornado alley in the Great Plains, but we're also seeing additional activity and really a secondary tornado alley shifting to places like the Deep South, right? From East Texas through Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, Mississippi, over to Georgia, where we see, a huge number of tornadoes on an annual basis. So definitely plenty of weather to go around for everyone these days.
That's for sure. So, let's actually kind of talk about, IBHS and some of the research that you guys done on the fortified system. If you want, I think we can kind of start about just explaining fortified, and then from there we can kind of go with the research, the benefits, and then kind of help out roofing contractors explain that to homeowners, make sure they're completely protected.
Yeah, sure. So here at IBHS, we do a lot of work in the building code space. But building codes, it takes a long time to change those and get implemented. When there's new science that goes into building codes, it could be 10 plus years before we actually see that science make it into the code. So what we've developed here at
Wow.
IBHS based on our research that we've done is basically solutions that homeowners and business owners can implement, right now. These are things that are not tied to building codes. They're actually, we say they're above and beyond building codes in most cases. So the Fortified program is one of those. So that's based on all the wind research we've done. We have a 6-story wind chamber, one of the biggest wind chambers in North America here at IBHS. We can recreate up to Category 3 hurricanes in our wind chamber. We have 105 fans. It's this massive 6-story airplane hangar looking building. So we put full-size houses into that test chamber, not little models like other wind chambers do, but a full-size 1 and even 2-story house, commercial buildings as well, with real roofing materials, right? So real asphalt shingles, different types. We can put tile roofs on, metal roofs, all sorts of different materials. And then we turn the fans on, we blow the wind at them to conduct these tests, right? So we did that for, a decade plus. The results from that is that's the science that was developed into our Fortified program. So what Fortified is it's just a set of construction standards based on that research that homeowners can use when they're building a new house or if they're re-roofing their house. So the main elements of Fortified is going to include some special nails. So smooth shank nails is what is used in traditional construction, but we for our Fortified program we use what's called an 8D ring shank nail. So it's a nail that has these little ridges on. That's going to better attach your roof deck to your roof structure. So it's going to actually keep your roof deck attached to your house in those high winds. So when a tornado or a hurricane or a severe thunderstorm is trying to pull your roof off, those nails are going to allow the roof deck to better stay in place. That's the first component. The second component is underneath your shingles and then underneath your underlayment, you have those gaps and cracks in the plywood roof decking, right? So you as a roofer expert, a roofing expert, kind of probably know more what those are about, but it's for your roof needs to contract and expand, right? In the different temperatures, you don't want
Hmm.
your roof deck to buckle, so you need gaps and cracks like that. So what we do in Fortified is, we kind of assume that your asphalt shingles or your roof cover are going to blow off in the high winds. Our research shows that asphalt shingles blow off in winds as low as about 60 miles per hour, which is just barely severe thunderstorms status. So we assume those shingles are going to blow off. Your underlayment could get ripped up, and underneath that, you're going to have those that gaps and cracks and your roof deck sealed up. It's called a sealed roof deck. So we put a flashing tape over all those seams so that they are covered, so that if the underlayment blows off, which by the way in Fortified we do use a thicker underlayment as well. We use a 15-pound felt compared to we use a 30-pound felt compared to a 15-pound felt. So even if your shingles and that thicker underlayment do manage to blow off, your roof deck is going to be sealed. So all the rain that comes along with those storms, as that falls on your house, this flashing tape is actually going to keep the water out of your house. That's super important.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super important because we know that once rain gets in your house, it can do tons of damage as well.
Hmm. I mean, also too, I was doing some research online about your guys' research center. It's pretty wild. I mean, the setup that you guys have, like that main chamber, it's absolutely massive. Like you said, you're putting legitimate structures in there. I mean, the fans, everything. It's a pretty crazy setup. So I love what you guys are doing. Now, if I'm a roofing contractor, if we wanted to, right? If I'm going into a homeowner, right? Big hail area. Now, if I'm using this information, right, and I'm building out a fortified roofing system, can I pitch a homeowner that I feel like there's a guarantee it's going to hold up to X amount of size hail or certain, variables or whatever it might be?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we do a lot of post-event investigations after weather events occur to find out if Fortified actually works, right? So we've assessed a number of tornadoes and some previous hurricanes, but our most recent study that we've done is Hurricane Sally. So Hurricane Sally just hit the Alabama coast back in 2020, and our highest concentration of fortified roofs is in coastal Alabama. So we have about 75,000 fortified homes across the country. We're in 32 states, but about 53,000 of those are in two counties, which are right on the coast, my home county of Mobile, and then Baldwin County, which is home to Gulf Shores, Alabama. That's where Hurricane Sally struck. So this was the highest concentration of fortified houses in this area, and they took a direct hit from the hurricane. So what we did is we partnered with the University of Alabama. They performed this research study, and we sampled 40,000 homes, some of which were fortified, some were built to local code, some were just traditional construction. And we found out
Mhm.
that the fortified homes did indeed perform way better than the conventional home. So those homes in the area were about 70% less likely to have an insurance claim. And then if they did have an insurance
Wow.
claim, the damage was typically about 22% less severe. So I think the average number of the claims filed in Hurricane Sally was around $20,000. With Fortified, it drops it down, about 22%. And that's if they have a claim. Again, you're 70% likely to have a claim at all by having a fortified roof on your home. So we've found that it works. We could significantly reduce the amount of money being paid by both homeowners in the form of their deductibles and insurers as well. So yeah, if there's someone interested in becoming a fortified contractor, Fortified absolutely works. It has a reputation for working, and also in that study, we found that the fortified homes actually outperform the houses built to the local code by 50%. And a key part of that is with
Wow.
fortified houses, they're being inspected, and it's a really thorough process. So there's fortified evaluators making sure that everything is being done correctly along the way. Houses can be built to code, but if there's no one coming along and inspecting those houses and making sure they're actually being, the code is being followed properly, those homes are not going to stand up as well to severe weather as homes like fortified homes, where we're really making sure that every step of the way, everything is being constructed as it should be and following that standard.
So these fortified homes are actually protecting people in hurricane areas. Like it's actually making a difference to these people who are just getting, just bombarded, right, by storms and, natural disasters and stuff like that. It can actually make a difference for these people.
Yeah, so fortified, so we have different standards depending on what part of the country you live in. So I mentioned we are in 32 states. So fortified addresses high winds from hurricanes, but also severe thunderstorms and tornadoes and derechos as well. So the type of wind that inland states experience. And then on top of that, for those who live in an area prone to hail like yourself, we have what we call the hail supplement. So basically you'll choose a shingle from a special list that IBHS has developed through our research. We actually make our own hail here. We shoot that hail that is a very lifelike hail, and we shoot it at different types of shingles, different roofing materials, different brands, and we actually rate these based on the damage that we see. So we have our own IBHS shingle impact rating list. You can go to our website and you can see a list of actual shingle brands and how well they perform. We score them, everything from good to excellent to poor. And previous brands that have performed poorly have actually been pulled off the market due to IBHS research. So that is specifically, special shingles, impact rated shingles that can withstand hail up to 2 inches. So yeah, if you have one of these impact rated shingles, the idea is that your roof can stand up to hail up to 2 inches. Once we're getting up to the monstrous hail events, 4 inches, 5 inches, we don't quite have a solution for that yet. We're not saying these shingles can stand up to that, but most hail events we've found are in that 1 to 2 inch range, which is severe hail. So yeah, if you have this shingle on your roof, these impact rated shingles, our research shows that it does stand up to these hail events. And then as far as the wind aspect, the construction in fortified actually basically eliminates most low-end tornado damage. So EF0, EF1, EF2, and even some of the damage indicators up to EF3, we can more or less eliminate that low-end tornado damage. And in most tornado situations, even the stronger ones, kind of the outskirts, the outer edges of that tornado path is going to be the lower wind speeds and that lower wind damage. And we can address almost all of that with fortified. So yeah, I think it's an easy sell, honestly, when you hear all the science laid out. I used to think, if my house is hit by a tornado, it's just kind of the luck of the draw. There's not much I can do about Mother Nature, but it's actually not true. We have the engineering and the science now to actually prevent a lot of this damage, which is our whole mission here at IBHS.
Yeah, I love it. And now on the contractor side, if they want to be a fortified provider, can you kind of talk a little bit about that process, how a contractor can sign up, and then kind of just what that all entails?
Yeah, sure. So we offer training. So if there's a contractor who wants to become a fortified contractor, you complete a training course. You have to take a test and really learn all about that technical standard. And you could become a fortified roofer, roofer contractor, or an evaluator as well. And once you pass the test, you upload proof that you meet those requirements, and then you sign up to be a fortified service provider. So you'll be listed on a website that homeowners can go directly to, and that's fortifiedproviders.com. So, once you do all the training and you take the test, you're a certified fortified contractor. You'll be trained in the standard. And then we have contractors who work with the evaluator. So what happens is a homeowner, goes to that website, they choose a contractor, they say, hey, I either want to build my house to the fortified standard or I'm putting a new roof on and I want my new roof to be a fortified roof. So the homeowners can choose their contractor. They can also choose an evaluator. So the evaluator's role is to come in behind the contractor and just, again, that documentation project, taking photos of things like the nailing pattern and the sealed roof deck and making sure the right underlayment is on, make sure everything is being done, according to the standard that's laid out. They take photos along the way. So then you'll have the verification process. So the evaluators, again, are trained by IBHS, trained in the fortified standard. And after the construction is done and everything is uploaded actually to a portal, and then we have IBHS, basically auditors, who go in and they look at all the photos, they look at all the documentation, they make sure that the contractor who built the house to the fortified standard, that the evaluator has uploaded all the pertinent documentation, and then the homeowner will be issued a fortified designation. So they actually get a certificate for their house. They can show it to their insurer. Most insurers offer discounts for having a fortified home.
Mhm.
There's also tax incentives in some states. So some of the costs to upgrade to fortified can be written off on your taxes depending on where you live. And then, of course, we have fortified grant programs available as well. Many states have great fortified grant programs offering, sometimes up to $10,000 to upgrade your roof. So it's a very thorough process, but it's one,
Nice.
it has a reputation for quality and customer confidence for sure.
Yeah, because that was gonna. I think that you almost answered my next question. It was gonna be more of, how a contractor can best pitch this to homeowners. So it seems like, you can get insurance discounts, tax write-offs, grants, and of course, there's the security and protection as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes homes, they experience wind damage and, maybe they're still standing after a storm, but if your roof cover, say your house is fine, but you lost a substantial number of shingles and underlayment, from a storm, right? Then it rains on your house. You get water into your house. You're dealing with basically what we call a cascade of damage. Water is really a big damage amplifier. So you're talking about wet insulation, wet belongings. People keep
Hmm.
keepsake items and children's artwork and all sorts of things in their attics. And that's one of the first places that is going to get wet if water makes it into your house. So sealing that roof deck prevents, our research shows that it prevents up to 95% of water from getting into your home. So yeah, in addition to all the financial incentives, just being able to stay in your home and keep it livable after a storm is really the main goal. We don't want people to have to move out of their homes, while they're waiting on wet, carpet or insulation or whatever to be
Hmm.
replaced.
100%. So I was actually going to ask you, I don't know, do you know like some of the best products, and would you be willing to talk a little bit about that in terms of like what's been for shingles and stuff with the roofing system that's really stood out as like, wow, this is strong. Like this gets the job done.
Yeah, so that's a really hard question to answer, and that's one we get asked all the time. But that's a big project of IBHS. That's a big part of our current research. We call it roofing roadmaps here at IBHS. And the question is, what is the best product to put on my roof? On my roof, people ask us that every day. So we're still researching that, but we know that metal roofs and tile roofs, when they're installed
Metal.
correctly, they do have a very long life, much longer than asphalt shingles. Those types of roofs, metal and tile, could last, 30, 40 years or more. What we found from asphalt shingles is, the standardized tests that these shingles undergo before they're put onto the market. We've basically have found that they're just not very representative of what is actually happening in real life, right? For example, one of the tests that asphalt shingles undergo is a steel ball test. So they drop a steel ball, it falls onto the shingle. If the shingle cracks, it fails. If it doesn't crack, it passes. That's really not a very good representation of what is happening when hailstones fall, right? Hail is made out of ice, for one, and hail, ice causes different types of damage. It's not just quite as cut and dry as did the shingle crack or not, right? So we see hail knocking granules off of the shingles. Then you have that asphalt, that fiberglass mat exposed, and then you see UV radiation come along and further degrade the shingle. So like it's really complicated, right? So the standardized tests are
Hmm.
not good representatives of what's happening in the real world. So it's one of the reasons why we developed our own tests here at IBHS to get a better sense of what these shingles actually undergo. And then so when going back to asphalt shingles, out of the three roofing materials, they are not the greatest. Another thing is, these asphalt shingles do have warranties, and we're finding that they're not always living up to what the warranty says on the package. Like, maybe it says that they're supposed to last 25 years, but we're seeing them, severely degraded after 5 years or 10 years. So that's a big part of our research
Hmm.
is aging the shingles as well. So, a lot of asphalt shingles are pretty good right out of the package. New roofs, can hold up pretty well, but we have all these different huts out on our property here at IBHS. We call it the aging farm. And so we're leaving all these different shingles out for 5, 10, up to 20 years. Because we really need to know, like, what is your shingle performance like after 5 years, after 10 years, after 20 years, And we found that after 5 years, we begin to see shingles, start to degrade. Things like the sealant coming loose, so the shingles can flap around in the wind. They're more prone to blow off. Then, we see dents and ridges from hail damage. We see that granule loss as well. How do the extreme temperatures, that extreme hot and the extreme cold that your roof experiences throughout all the different seasons, how does that impact your roof? So tons of different factors that go into it, tons of different questions. So that's what we're doing with our aging farm, and trying to answer some of those questions about, what is the best roof.
Your guys' location seems pretty cool. I love all these little stations and massive like warehouse stuff. I mean, it's pretty cool setup. So you're saying like basically it could be even a class, 4 shingle, right? But 5 years goes by, maybe you're in a hot location or weather's weird, and it ages pretty quickly. So even if you got a class 4, after 5 years, it might still not be providing the protection it needs to.
Yeah, we know the impact rated shingles, they do hold up better than, the non-impact rated. But yeah, that's some of the questions we're trying to answer. We do know that aging and weather has an impact on their performance. We just pulled our first
Hmm.
batch of 10-year shingles, so we don't have any extensive results on those yet, but some of our researchers are really going to be analyzing all these shingles that have been sitting out there to kind of analyze their performance and how well they've done.
Hmm. So, I mean, what tips would you have for contractors? I mean, they're trying to stay in tune, right? They're trying to offer the best solutions out there. They're in a storm market, right? And they want to be able to offer the best solutions to their customers. They want to make sure they're, top the line, know everything they need to know and present. What advice or what knowledge would you like to share with them to make sure that they're equipped with it out in the field?
Yeah, just check out our science, check out our research. All of our research is, available. Most of our research and a lot of resources are available on ibhs.org, fortifiedhome.org. If they're interested in becoming a contractor, they can read up on that. And you can just read about some of our research we've done. Just kind of looking at these different materials, and yeah, I mean, if they're interested in solutions that stand up to severe weather in particular, certainly encourage them to check out our research, look at our IBHS hail shingle rating list that is available on our website as well. Read more about Fortified. And the thing I think that's the most impactful is understanding how well these solutions hold up. So some of our post-event investigation, some of the results from those on our website as well. So you can read about Sally and some of these storms that we've kind of assessed and analyzed how much better this Fortified standard does against some of this weather. And yeah, just check out some of that research.
And for me, I think it's a no-brainer, right? You want to be able to offer multiple solutions to the homeowner. And as a contractor, I think it's your role and responsibility, especially if you're in a hurricane market, hail market, storm market of any kind of sort. It's your responsibility to be offering something like this, right? A fortified roofing system where you can kind of instill the confidence based off of research, right? That you can say, hey, this is going to protect you, right? And this is the statistics, this is the data, this is the research. And I think, sometimes we don't offer the most expensive or the premium option because, we just get too scared. But at the end of the day, it's our requirement to be making sure they know their solutions and what they can do to protect themselves. So, do your research, check out the website. So yeah, ibhs.org, check it out. If you guys want to become a member, make sure you're doing that, right? Because then you also get put to the list of contractors for people who are looking for fortified systems, right? So it's kind of a no-brainer in my mind. So Rachel, this is what I do though with every episode. I let the guest close it out. I mean, they could share a quote, a book. They could tell me their favorite number. I could care less. Whatever you want to leave them with, you can go ahead and do so. All right.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I guess I would just say, working as a broadcast meteorologist, I was usually the first person on the scene, like the next day after a tornado or severe thunderstorm or hurricane or whatever, and I would talk to homeowners. And the thing that I heard most often is A, oh, I never thought it would happen to me, is the thing that I heard most
Yeah.
commonly. And then B, well, what could I have done? I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this is just kind of the hand that I've been dealt. And until I came to IBHS, I didn't realize there were solutions for all of that, right? We have the science, and that's so interesting to see the meteorology and engineering kind of come together to be able to stand up to the severe weather. So I would just say, when it comes to severe weather, it can happen to you. We're seeing all sorts of extreme weather events. We're seeing more and more of those. I don't think that is changing anytime soon. So everything you could do to make your house more resilient, not only for yourself as a homeowner, if you're a contractor looking for more resilient solutions, this obviously in these times that could be a big boost to business. But there's just so much that you can do to kind of take matters into your own hands, and a lot of that, comes from here at IBHS.
Amen. Hey, I know all you contractors out there, you're all about protecting your community, right? You hear stories like that where they're asking, what could have we done to protect ourselves, right? So you could be part of that, right? So make sure that you guys are learning, staying in tune, looking at the different information they have out there, and offering those best solutions to protect these homeowners and the communities. So, Rachel, I really appreciate it. Everybody at IBHS, I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. Super cool. Make sure you guys are checking them out. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, hey Rachel.
Yeah.
So I know you're the real deal, right? Obviously, you're in the film business basically over here, right? You're broadcasting, but you also have a podcast, right? So if you guys don't mind my podcast, make sure you guys are checking out Rachel's. So Rachel, tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, so we have a podcast here at IBHS called Disaster Discussion. So anyone who is interested in hearing more about our research, we have one new episode every month. A lot of times we interview our IBHS researchers. It could be about wildfire science, could be more about fortified or our hail research, variety of topics. We have industry guests on as well. So yeah, anyone who's interested in learning more about IBHS, just check out the Disaster Discussions podcast, and that's available anywhere that you get your podcasts as well.
Awesome. Boom.